So hi everyone, thank you Hannah for that introduction. I'm Jet. Quick visual description of me for anyone who has any visual impairments. I am a white femme person with a pink buzz cut that is normally a bit brighter than this, and I am wearing pink and gold glasses with pink eyeliner and a black hoodie, and I'm so excited to be joining you all for this session today. This is, I think, my third inspiration talk that I've done, so it's super exciting to be returning back. But yeah, so the title of my talk is all about changing the world, one yapping session at a time. There we go. So this is me as a quick overview. I am a digital media design student based in Winchester, which is about an hour away from London. And I am a third year, so I'm just finishing up my degree, and I specialise in accessible and inclusive design. And yeah, so super exciting. Why? Three large letters that hold a lot of power behind them. They're potentially the three biggest letters that shape our entire existence. Why is the sky blue? Why are people here? And why are they in a wheelchair? As a species, it's in our nature to not only be problem solvers, but play a game of a constant game of spot the difference. For evidence of this, literally just look at children. They haven't yet learned the restraints of social rules and expectations. They are happy just to go up to people who are visibly different and ask them why they don't look like me. Unless we are exposed to different groups of people in our everyday lives, how on earth are we expected to grow or develop an understanding of others' struggles? Growing up as a physically able-bodied person, I've had very few experiences of disability in my childhood, and even less experiences of media representation of disabled people. Through family friends, I knew a couple of disabled people, but apart from the knowledge of their existence, I was clueless about disability and accessibility. Then in 2011, a TV show came out, The Spartacle Mystery, a show about an alternative universe where the parents just disappear, as you can see here. And it's only the kids left. Two of the main characters were visibly disabled actors, one of which was a wheelchair user, and the other one was a congenital amputee, which means that they were missing that arm from birth. This was never a defining descriptor of them, but just an additional layer to their characters. Over the years, there has been more mainstream, authentic representation of disabled people, but I am still pleasantly surprised when I see people who look like me on the screen. So, a bit about my disability backstory. So, although I was born able-bodied and I'd spent my entire childhood as a very active and healthy person, I got ill in 2021. So 4 years ago, I was going through a lot of trauma mentally and emotionally and physically, and my body basically shut down. I had also just been given the news that I was autistic. That was a confirmed diagnosis through, which basically means that my brain is wired a little bit differently to everyone else's, and I struggled to understand some of those social communication skills. As my health rapidly declined, I found myself consuming more and more media and TV. So, a lot of TV shows, films, and books, as I didn't have the energy for going out and living a normal, quote unquote, normal life like all of my peers and like I was so used to doing. I went from being a lifeguard and a swim teacher and like being in the gym and swimming every day to being a wheelchair user at university at the age of 18, all by myself in just a matter of, I think it was about 9 months. So quite a big change. But yeah, so it was a lot of obstacles that I was now facing. So I was plunged into a completely new and inaccessible world where I was now seen as other and was presented with daily intrusive comments from people, shops that I couldn't access, and roads with no dropped curbs. The list goes on, and I was presented with two choices. As I was at university at the time, I had a choice of whether I stay at university or leave university and return to it a couple of years later. Being faced with these new obstacles, I had two choices: hide from the world, which I was already doing, or suck it up and get on with it. Of course, I chose the latter, and that is a choice that I still make every single day, 3 years on. everyone has their own struggles, and for me, I am very, very grateful to be alive and have the opportunities that I've had, and I try not to let anything stop me. Um, I am a very, very determined person and will quite happily push through as much as I possibly can, which has led to the detriment of some bad choices. But throughout the last 3.5 years, my perspective on everything has changed drastically. I've seen firsthand how life can be flipped on its head in a matter of seconds. I've watched those close to me pass away due to inadequate healthcare, written hundreds of angry emails and LinkedIn posts. But most importantly, I've had some of the most powerful conversations of my life. I think I've always been a yapper. I have ADHD and autism, so can easily talk at 100 miles an hour, especially when I'm excited about anything. When I first became disabled, yapping developed a new meaning for me. For those who don't know, yapping is basically when someone talks far too much or is an oversharer, and I am a very big self-proclaimed yapper. So every day I get asked questions by complete strangers. Was it an accident? How did you go to the bathroom? And even some people who treat me like a literal child despite being a fully grown adult. With every comment, a conversation grows, discussing how things aren't appropriate for people to say, showing the everyday barriers that I have to tackle on a daily basis, and most importantly, defying stereotypes. When I was working in physical work environments, I used to get the, oh, it's so inspirational, you're so brave, etc., 24/7 for literally just existing as a person. You see, I find issues with the word inspirational and what it means for me. If you see me going about my day just in the same way as everyone else, that is not inspirational at all. But if you see my work and my activism and say that's inspirational, you're accurate. So, when is it okay to call a disabled person inspirational? Exactly the same time that you would use it for anyone else. So, next time you see a disabled person out in public, instead of asking them, oh, what happened to you? Or you're so inspirational for leaving the house today, rethink and go, hi, how are you? And start a conversation that's based on a positive point. So on the screen is a couple of different examples of please don't call me inspirational for leaving the house, just existing, or being on social media, all of which are comments that I've had very often. So some of my work projects include Rights on Flights, which is a big international campaign for promoting disabled rights on airlines. Making Space, which is a company based out in LA that is striving for better representation of disabled people in the media. And I actually worked in Teens and AI just before I got ill back in 2021 as a marketing assistant, which I absolutely loved. And I owe a lot of my job experience to Elena. She was an incredible mentor. So this work is truly inspirational, but me getting out of bed isn't. Okay, so what does this all have to do with AI and technology? Much like the media representation being crucial to ensuring inclusion, it's essential for algorithms to be created with inclusion at the forefront of decisions. If you're designing products or services that you want to make inclusive, ensure that your research is inclusive. Approach charities and organisations that are designed to support marginalised groups and ask if you can have a chat with them about improving the inclusivity of your products. So, going forward, have a think of who you can be including in those decisions, whether it's small little things like using visual descriptions as a way when you're meeting new people to go, hi, this is a very brief visual description of who I am or what I'm wearing, because you never know what people are going through, or whether it's learning to slow down and appreciate the slow speed of life. So for me, I make sure that every single day I get out of bed, I get outside, and on the days that I can't go outside, I open my window so that I can listen to the birds and have the fresh breeze come through. But yes, so inclusive tech is so important as we are growing as a society. There is so much inclusive tech that is coming out left, right, and centre. You've got super exciting projects like AI being used more regularly, such as Copilot and ChatGPT, which is able to really condense down your research time when you're doing big projects or social media posts, and you don't have the energy to trundle through tons and tons of websites just to find a little bit of information that's useful for you. I use it on a daily basis for my degree, especially because I don't have the time or the energy to sit through hundreds of pages of research documents to find exactly what I need. But you can also use it for digesting content and giving a summary, which is really helpful for neurodivergent people. We also have new tools coming out daily, such as Microsoft accessibility features and Apple accessibility features, both of whom are the market leaders for creating accessible and inclusive products that have been tested with disabled people at the forefront of their designs. So a couple of examples of this is speech to text. Microsoft also have a focus thing on Microsoft Word where it basically blocks off your sentence that you're reading, so it helps you to focus when you're reading through things. You can change fonts and stuff on PDFs now. So the possibilities of inclusive tech are endless. So my question for you guys is, what are you going to create next, and how are you going to ensure that inclusivity is at the very heart of what you do? Make sure that inclusivity is at the forefront of your design and not just as an afterthought, as I see so many companies doing. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to me yap. And any questions, just let me know and I'd be happy to answer. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your talk. We're gonna move on to the Q&A session now.
Perfect.
How do I stay up to date on inclusivity?
Wow, that's a big loaded question. Talk to people in your life and make sure that you are having people in your social circles that you might not necessarily agree with or who look different to you. I found that this was massive, where I'm now in so many different circles where a lot of my friends have different disabilities, so that I'm able to learn from them and kind of stay up to date with their struggles and include that in my work that I'm building, and paving a better way for our futures. Staying up to date with product testing. So LinkedIn is a fab option for staying up to date with this. You can also sign up for a load of newsletters on inclusive design. I myself also try and put out as much information as I can on my Instagram every time I find a new accessible feature. But yeah.
Amazing. I'm going to move on to the next question. This is a very loaded question. What motivates you in life?
I've always said since I was young, when I was a child, my dad brought me a book set that was 10 women who changed the world. And I was always like, I'm going to be one of those people. I am going to be changing the world. I don't know how yet or what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be in one of these books. And yeah, so my motivator has always been to change the world, make it more inclusive and more accessible. And also, I set myself the goal of finding a job where I can wake up every day feeling excited about what I'm doing. And if I don't wake up excited in the morning, I'm in the wrong job. And so far, touch wood, over the last 6 years, I've woken up excited to go to work every day. And I genuinely love my job so much. And I love watching results and watching communities and stuff grow.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the next question. What would you say to those who are going through a similar situation to you?
First of all, I'd give them a massive hug. Yeah, it can be really tough, and acceptance doesn't come easy at all. You will still be grieving your old life for many years, probably. And yeah, it's not one of those things that you can kind of just shove down and stuff. Find those around you who can support you, connect with other people who are going through similar situations. So for me, I hadn't had much experience of other people. I kind of felt quite isolated when I first got ill. And so I set up an online community of 100 disabled people from all across the UK, as a place where we can connect and share experiences and share tips and stuff, to help people feel less alone. which it did do. So yeah, social media is a fab place to find others who are going through similar things, even if it's not exactly the same situation or conditions.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is more of a compliment than a question, but someone asked, why are you so cool?
Thank you.
Um, Another question is, where can you start freelancing?
Oh, so I started doing a lot of volunteering roles when I was quite young. Literally just chatting to whoever I possibly could. And was like, hi, do you need any work done? Which helped me to build up my portfolio massively. And I still now do quite a lot of volunteering work alongside my freelancing stuff. But once you've got kind of like a portfolio going for you, also set up a LinkedIn as well. Like LinkedIn is so underrated. So many people in my class like, I have no idea how to use LinkedIn. And I'm like, I will show you guys. Like, here is a full rundown. Like, you need to be getting on it. But I will literally just send people who I look up to and aspire their like job position and who they are. And I would just send them a message going, hi, would you be up for a coffee? I'd really love to chat about your job and the work that you're doing. So that's how I got my foot in the door with Microsoft. Was I was like, hi to the head of accessibility and was like, I'd really love to have a coffee with you. Would you be open to this? And that's led to some really, really cool projects coming out of it. And just being open and honest with people as well. I'm a very non-traditional professional person. So everyone always says to me that I'm really informal, which I kind of use to my advantage. So I will literally turn up to work meetings in like the brightest clothes I can possibly find, platform pink Crocs, like the full like setup. So I basically make myself as personable as possible, so that I'm relatable for those who I'm speaking to.
Thank you so much. Love the platform Crocs. I've
Yeah,
got a pair myself. Love them.
yeah, they are so comfy. And also the perks of being a wheelchair user is that I don't even have to walk in them. So it's perfect. My feet don't get sore after a day of
Best of
walking.
both worlds.
Yeah.
Could you talk more about inclusive tech?
Yes. Is there a specific area of inclusive tech or just inclusive tech as a
Um,
whole?
they have not mentioned, but I do actually have a question from myself. I am
Yes.
dyslexic, so I
Yes,
would
me
love
too.
to know more about tech that could be used for dyslexia.
Yeah, so there is so many tools for dyslexia. Let me literally load up Microsoft on my laptop. 2 seconds. Um, I am a massive fan of both Microsoft and Apple's accessibility tools. I use both of them on a daily basis. I personally love text to speech features where it can read things out for me. So I have it on my phone because I struggle with my hand grip. I have it where if I double tap on the back of my phone 3 times, it will automatically read the entire screen for me and I can adjust the speed that it's saying. And I can also screenshot things by just tapping the back of my phone. You can do a similar feature on Microsoft platforms like Word, etc. Let me load up Word so that I've got a visual reminder of what I'm talking about. So when you go into view on Word, you can load up the focus mode, and you can also load up inclusive reader as well. So it will basically read things out to you. You can choose the speed, and it can even break things down into syllables as well, which is really helpful. And you can change like the column width and the page color and put on like a line focus, all of that kind of stuff. I personally find as well that audiobooks are more inclusive for me than sitting down and reading a physical book. But if you are wanting to sit down and read a book, the Kindle app is a great app to have on devices. So I have it on my iPad because I don't have a Kindle. But it's a free app for download. So lots of different things like that that can just be adapted. There is also some specialist software that I have on my laptop that will transcribe things for me if I'm in a lecture. it will do an auto transcribe, which basically means that I have captions, but then I'm able to go and review those notes after the lecture as well, so that I don't have to like spend all my energy trying to remember what they're saying whilst typing it up and still listening, which is fab. So yeah, there's kind of something for everyone, and there's like so many different features. I recommend literally loading up accessibility part on your settings of your iPad, laptop, phone, whatever it is that you're using as your primary device, and literally just playing around. Like there is so many tools. So another one that I have as well is that I have bold text on, and it's larger text across all of my different apps. I also have high contrast on, and I color code absolutely everything. So my Google Calendar is all different color coding, so I know exactly what work I'm doing when, just by looking at it, and I don't have to read for it. Also, using icons rather than just words can also help a lot with dyslexia, so that you have a visual prompt rather than just reading the actual text itself. But yeah, so lots of different tools available. Literally just have a play around and see if anyone's you fancy or get along with particularly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is literally just playing. Like I'm a big child and I will literally just play with everything. I do wheelchair maintenance for all my friends, where I literally will just take apart their entire wheelchairs and build them back together, because I'm like, I love seeing how it all works and stuff, and I love looking at it all and stuff. So yeah, just play around, be experimentative. And if you can't find a tool that works for you, then reach out to your local companies. Also, universities quite often will do different tech programs as well. So I'm just about to start my master's course in inclusive design, which basically will create inclusive technologies. So I will be designing solutions for people around me who haven't found assistive tech that works for them in other contexts. But yeah,
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was really, really helpful.
no
Um,
problem.
Moving on to the next question.
Yeah.
It can be very hard to create new ideas when AI can be a barrier when it comes to plagiarism. How do you encourage inclusiveness and creativity?
This is something that I struggle with on a daily basis as someone who works in a very creative industry. I work in marketing and content creation and social media, and I have seen all of my classmates get so stressed about the impact that AI is going to have on us, and wondering, are we even going to have a career once we actually graduate from university? And that's really hard to see and to kind of come to grasps with. But I think the role that we have with AI is going to shift more from being the ones who are instructing the AI to being the ones that guide it. We have to see AI as a inclusive tool that we can actually use and harness to work with us rather than against us. So I use AI primarily for things like copywriting and stuff, but I will always ask it to cite its sources as well, so that I make sure that the things that I'm reading are credible, and fact checking them, especially if they're going out on like partnership posts for clients and stuff. I always have to make sure that all of my sources are up to date and stuff. So they're a really good signposting tool, but I wouldn't say to use them for more than just signposting, if that makes sense. So I personally do not use any design tools on AI. I occasionally use them if I'm like struggling to come up with inspiration. I'll be like, "Hi, this is the project that I'm working on. Have you got any ideas and stuff?" And having it as like a sounding board rather than doing it for me, if that makes sense.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Moving on to another question. Can I use LinkedIn without work experience in AI? How do I
Yes.
form a resume with no work experience?
Yes. So honestly, I the way that I started when I had no work experience was that I would sit myself down on a Friday night and was like, I'm going to build a website today for a completely imaginary client. Like there is nothing stopping you from downloading Wix or Canva and literally going, okay, I'm going to do this project. This is something that I've seen online where people are charging for it. let me just play around, get familiar with the tools, so that you can build up your portfolio, but you don't necessarily have to have clients' names behind you. And as you build up your portfolio and build up your skills and stuff and diversifying your skill set, you will find that people naturally come and find you, especially on LinkedIn, if you're posting about relevant things. So I will quite often post about accessibility features that I found or talks that I've been to. And then on the back of that, I'll have conversations with people about those things. But the main thing is like literally using it as a long form posting site. So having kind of like a blog set up on LinkedIn to basically talk about what you're learning that week, or what you're interested in at the time, and kind of relating it back to the subject that you want to go into.
Amazing, thank you so much. We only have time for one more question as we only got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
What is the advantage of yapping?
Oh, so many advantages of yapping. I yap 24/7. I love it. It makes you have conversations that you otherwise wouldn't have had. So for me, by constantly oversharing everything and being so open with talking to people and explaining my story, it opens people up in a way that you don't see very often, of them also being vulnerable in response, so that you can really have a genuine conversation with them. It also makes some very funny content come out as well. Like a lot of the times when I'm talking to my friends, they'll be like, "What did you just say, Jet?" I'm like, "That needs to go on my Instagram story. That is an iconic quote from me." So it kind of like is a really good icebreaker, especially in new situations where you're getting to know people. Instead the kind of like questions of like, "What's your favorite color?" and stuff, like going deeper into kind of like what their job is, what work they're interested in, and kind of really taking an interest in that stuff, which is where yapping does really come in helpful, is because I will literally just go up to random people and be like, "Hi, let me start a conversation with you." Or people will come up to me and start a conversation with me based on like my appearance or something like that. But I will literally just go into people in public who I'm like, "I love your outfit," and then we have a conversation on the back of that. So just kind of putting yourself out there and yapping to your heart's content. Yeah.
Amazing, thank you so much. I'm going to close the Q&A session now as we're coming to the end. Thank you so much, Jet. Once again, thank you so much to our partners, Sage, Sage Foundation, and Red Hat for making this event possible.